Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Walker and you are watching my booktube channel. I don't know how many of you play The Sims, but I recently downloaded this mod called The Slice of Life, and apparently this gives my Sims like diseases like every single day, multiple times a day. So I feel like taking a break from pill popping for a second just to kind of create a video. And let's go and start off by saying the 4 of you that watched my first video, well, you're about to be bamboozled, because that's right, the title of this video is not what I said was previously going to be my first video, where I talk about all the books I read in 2019. No, because that would make me consistent, and I'm anything but consistent. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a writing process book tag. So Kristen kind of unofficially invited me. She did a video on this. Sorry, it's Kristen and her books. I'm definitely gonna link her below, and I'm probably gonna even throw up a picture or a clip of her video because she's hilarious and she's awesome. But she unofficially tagged me in my comments for my first video, and I thought, you know what? I am currently working on my first book, so I was like, you know what? This sounds a lot easier than going through the 43 books I read in 2019, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first question is, what genres do you write? And my first book I wrote is in a contemporary setting, but it does have a fantastical element to it. So my current book it's pretty much just like our current day and age, but with one main change, and that is humans have the ability to weave and control the elements. So I feel like that was the first book I chose to write just because it's easier to get into. I didn't have to create a whole nother world. It's very similar to how people can get really invested into Harry Potter, is they understand the world he came from and now getting invited into a new world. So that's why my first book is like that. So question 2 is, what setting gets you the most productive? And I gotta say, I am a straight up night owl. I think I definitely write the most and almost only ever write at night. Besides that, I have a very fortunate position at my current job to where I have a lot of downtime, and that allows me to actually get a lot of reading and writing done. So since I'm already at work, being productive, getting all my stuff done, and once I'm done with that, I just immediately go right into writing. So it almost feels like I'm working all day, but getting 2 jobs done at the same time. So yes, I may not be consistent, but I am indeed productive. So number 3 is, if you have multiple story ideas, how do you go about picking which one to start on first? Well, I guess I already answered that in question 1, but yeah, it says I pretty much go with what I guess I think is the easiest, like what is probably less time consuming. Again, I've actually only written just 1 book. I have many story ideas, and I'm actually probably gonna wait to answer this a little bit later because it might show up, but the way I kind of write my stories isn't necessarily me writing it down on paper, so I'll probably explain that later. But yeah, I think I just went with what was the most digestible, what I could get through easier, and again, that was pretty much not creating an entire new fantasy world. Alright guys, before we move on to question 4, I have to get something off my chest here, and that it is really hard to breathe and talk at the same time. Like, what? It's just like, I've spent so much time, I'm kind of a bit of an antisocial. I don't really talk to people. I don't go out of my way to talk to people first. So I guess this whole breathing in between speaking was completely lost on me. I can't do it. So luckily you don't have to hear any of this because I'm editing this, and well, I don't want you guys to hate my videos. But yeah, fun fact, it's kind of hard to talk and breathe at the same time. Go figure. Anyways, moving on to number 4. Do you outline? And actually, yeah, for the 1 book that I wrote so far, I did outline. I probably don't need to link her. I'm sure more people are aware of her than I could possibly know. But I actually follow Jenna Moreci's outline videos. Just the way she described it just really resonated with me, and I'm like, hey, this works for me. And so that's what I use, in case you want to know exactly how I outline. I mean, I guess I did change a little bit of things to make it my own. I think she outlines way more than I did, but that's pretty much how I do it. Number 5 is, do you start your first draft with pen and paper, typewriter, or computer? First off, typewriter, hell yeah. I don't have one. I'll never use one. But I'm going to go and back up real quick and explain something that I didn't elaborate on earlier at all, and it's how I usually create my stories. I would say that my first draft is completely in my head. I mean, a lot of people say like they have all these ideas in their head and stuff like that, so maybe they can relate. But over the years, whenever I'm driving or listening to music, just having any time not talking to someone or focusing on anything but just in my head, I'm always creating a story. I've always got the characters played out. I'm always like having to go through arcs. It's usually action scenes because just as I'm driving, going across the lake or something like that, I'll have like people like flying all over it and attacking each other and stuff like that. So, but yeah, over the years, I've just spent so much time building all these stories in my head that they're practically done. But of course, to answer the question in its entirety, I would then put it on the computer first. So thank you, Walker, for that roundabout response. Anyways, moving on. What do you do to get through writer's block? Well, I sit down and feel sorry for myself and just think, if you don't move on, you will be a failure and you will disappoint everyone. All those people that don't know you're writing a book, they'll be disappointed in you and you'll die with your secrets. No, I mean, I've only really written one book, and I would say the only time I really got writer's block, I really feel like it's just more out of laziness. I don't think I've ever come to like, I don't know what to put in my book next. It's more like I just don't feel like writing. So unfortunately, all 4 of you that returned from my first video looking for advice on how to get through writer's block, you'll be disappointed. It will be a trend for my videos. Get used to it. So let's move on, because I don't have any advice. Number 7. Do you format your project from the beginning or worry about that later? Well, going forward, I might have to start worrying about format. I might have to start worrying about formatting first next time, because when I went through revising and editing, I had so many technical issues with how I formatted my book. To answer my question, no. I ended up not formatting first. In the future, I probably will. So number 8 is, do you edit as you go or when you finish the first draft? I would definitely say after I've finished the first draft. I usually don't go back and I really look at the old chapters at all. I mean, that was like a really big thing when I first did the revision, is there was a lot of little things that when I was writing I didn't think about. So for instance, like minor characters' names, and I specifically minor characters, like significant others' names, I would like write it at first, and then like later when I was writing them again, I couldn't remember what their name was, so I just like put in italics like so and so's girlfriend and then just moved on. And then like when I started revising it, I had to make sure to notate on my phone every little thing that I knew was going to show up later. So definitely write it all first, get it all out there, enjoy the bliss of initially writing, and then go back and clean up that hot mess that you created. Number 9 is, after finishing your drafts / manuscripts, how long do you give it a break before you start back over and do yourself a break at all? Well, again, the whole one book that I've written, I didn't actually give myself any time. I was really excited I did it over NaNoWriMo in 2019, and I was really excited once I finished it. I already ended up looking for an editor, which, spoiler, I know is a question later down the line. But I already started looking for an editor. I immediately started revising it. I just didn't want the momentum to really stop. Kristen's video, she made a good point where she said, when you first read it, you kind of still really in love with it. You think everything's fine. She kind of wished she gave herself a break. So I'm wondering if I'm going to kind of feel that, but I'm hoping I'm still roughly impartial enough to not have that. But I just feel like I'm already on a roll. I really didn't want to stop and wait. Question number 10 is there something that you prefer to do to get you through writing? Playing music, TV, having your favorite drink or food? Not really. I do have a playlist. I definitely got this from Jenna Moreci. I mean, I'm sure a lot of other people do it too, but she has a specific playlist for her book that she was writing. So I do have that. I have like a specific writing playlist where a bunch of songs remind me of, the book that I'm currently writing. They're like themed for it. And that's pretty much it. I feel like I have to, I guess this is a big one. I feel like I have to be at a desk with like my two monitors set up and my keyboard. Because I have a laptop, but I really don't like to use that to write. I don't like the smallness of the keyboard and the smallness of the screen. So if I really want to get nitpicky and a deep here, I guess I would just say I want to be at a desk with like official keyboard and everything like that. Number 11 is, do you schedule your writing sessions? And that's a big fat no. I definitely think I just think I need to write every day, and that's kind of it. If I don't feel like writing, like I would just sort of skip it. But I'm hoping that because we're going to be positive people here, when my author career kicks off, I'm going to have to be more serious about writing because I'm going to have to get more books out there. Number 12 is, do you have word count or chapter goals for your writing sessions? Again, well, technically, when I've only written my book, it was during NaNoWriMo, and yeah, the whole point is to have word count goals. But I think I'd probably have more chapter goals. I think I just want to get chapters done and like out of the way. Only for NaNoWriMo was there necessarily like a word count, but I think even then I was still focusing on let's just get this chapter over with. I feel like word count goals be kind of weird because then you're kind of just like, oh, I want to write 5,000 words, but then you get to a point where it's like in the middle of a chapter or you just start a chapter. So I feel like most people probably have chapter goals. Number 13 is, are there any quirky things you do to make your projects more fun? No. I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't necessarily say it's fun. It's probably not fun for him, but I like always bug my partner about my books, and like I get really excited and I tell him everything about it, and I guess that's kind of fun for me. I guess it kind of hypes me up. It sort of gets like my brain flowing. It's almost like I have a beta reader at the same time that like I'm writing it, so it's like I'm currently like getting feedback off of someone. Granted, he doesn't always respond. He's kind of just like listening to me like, yeah, that's super cool. But I guess that it's kind of fun for me. It's fun to like enjoy the moment with someone while you're writing it instead of having to wait for a really long time to start getting feedback. Number 14 is, do you work on multiple projects at one time? I would say technically no. I would say officially no, because I'm really only written one project and put it to paper. I have like notes on my phone for a bunch of other stories. I started this Google Doc page where like I'm slowly writing things down. But usually I'm always like thinking of multiple stories. Like even just on the way to work, I'll be thinking of one of the stories with one character. On the way back home, I'm thinking of a completely different one. So officially no, but also kind of yes. Number 15 is, how often do you research what you're writing? Probably not as much as I should. At least, it just kind of depends on the subject matter. Like, for instance, if I think it's going to be something that is really important, for like instance, like my current book, I have, a Native American character, I have a Hispanic character, I have another character with mental illness, like Alzheimer's plays a role too. So like there definitely was research I had to go into, like the stuff that's like really important. And then, you know what, I'm completely lying. Yes, I definitely researched. There's just like stuff that like I think like even one of the scenes I have there, you have to go to this like power station to knock out power to a city, and I literally was just like having to look up like what exactly is it called, like a transformer, like a power station, like power network. Like I was like looking up all these things, and it can be kind of annoying. It's like something is so simple and you kind of wish you could just ask somebody or just read it in a book, and it's something that you have to now write in a book. So number 16 is, how do you organize your projects? The first time I did it, I mostly did it on Google Docs. And then for NaNoWriMo, I discovered Scrivener. And Scrivener is kind of amazing. It's really cool how you can like write it in chapters, and there's a lot of other stuff too that I wasn't able to fully utilize the first time. Unfortunately, my my NaNoWriMo like code ended up expiring, so I couldn't get the discount on Scrivener. And I pretty much was already done writing my book, so I was like, I don't really need Scrivener anymore at this point. So I'm probably going to wait until NaNoWriMo 2020, get that discount, and buy Scrivener because it's like super useful. I don't think it's so useful once you actually start like editing maybe, I think it's good to go ahead and put it like all on Word. Because right now I got a Word document, and the new Word, you actually can organize things a lot better than I thought. Number 17 is, do you reward or punish yourself for achieving or missing out on your writing goals? And no, I don't. I don't. I guess that maybe if I end up writing more and I become more serious, I probably will have to. Like I said, when I need to, put myself more on a time limit and stuff like that, it's a good possibility. But as of right now, I said, like, I wrote when I felt like it, and then when NaNoWriMo came around, I was just like, I just had the passion. I just had the passion to write, and like I did, and like I was ahead of schedule. It just worked out for me pretty well. Number 18 is, are there any works similar to your projects that you look for and use for inspiration and or comparison? I really can't say anything specifically. It honestly kind of makes me nervous about having too much stuff related to my story. I mean, just based on like my story plot about people having access to wielding the elements of fire, earth, water, and air. Literally the first person I even like told, they're just like, oh, so like Avatar. And I'm like, I love Avatar, but I mean, like, there can't only be like one story that's about like fire, water, earth, and air people. There are definitely similarities, and it's a great show for sure. I could probably make videos about it, but yeah, it's just a little everything. It's just all the stories that I've probably thought of just kind of like meld together. But I'm hoping this story is pretty unique. I'm sure it's not if you've read a lot of books, but I mean, hell, there's only so much you can do. I will definitely say Brandon Sanderson was a huge inspiration for me. Like the way he writes his plots, like how he sets up things in the beginning and how they pay off in the middle and the end and like across multiple books, that inspired me because I'm just like, it's such an amazing feeling to read through Sanderson's books that I definitely incorporated that into my series. I'm like, I want to set up things that pay off really nicely in the end. I think it's stand for this or something. Let me one time. I don't know.
I had a great time when I was Chickacret. I had lots of a mock-up on my face.
Number 19 is, how early do you wait to start looking for and hiring editors? Like I said, this time I pretty much started reaching out to editors right after I was done. I found someone really nice. I'm hoping that it'll work out whenever I'm done with the beta reading. So at least that time I reached out to her like right after I was done. I wanted to make sure like I was prepared to be like, okay, this is who I'm going to reach out to once my book is finished. It's also the first time I've had an editor. So I kind of wanted like her experience on like, well, what should I do? What's kind of best for me and stuff like that. She's also really nice. I feel like some people might be like, well, once you start paying me, I'll give you all the advice you need.
Give me your fucking money!
But she gave me a lot of really good advice before she even knew she had me as a customer. So number 20 is, if you finish the first draft or manuscript, tell us how you felt afterwards. Pick your favorite. If you're not through the first draft yet, tell us how you're feeling about it at the moment. It honestly, like, when I finished it, I just can't explain it. Like, I'm 27, and just I've just always had all these stories in my head. I've always been creating. Every time I read, when I was younger and I watched an anime or watched a movie, read a book, I would always put my own character in the story. Like, I feel like I couldn't stop making stories and characters, and I guess I just thought writing a book was something so daunting. Like, just how, like, it's not for me. It's not something that I could do. And when I finished it, and I'm just like, holy crap, like, I can do this. Like, it's gonna take work, it's gonna take money, but I can do this. It's just kind of awesome. It's awesome to finally start sharing these characters. I just kept thinking, I was like, I mean, there's so much that holds you back, and it's usually you. It's yourself. And I just think, like, well, why does anybody need my characters? But at the same time, I'm just like, well, why not? Why can't I share my people and my characters? And like, sure, not everyone's gonna love it, but what happens when people do? What happens when people see the things that are in my head and now it's in their head? And it's just this connection between like ideas and worlds. It's just, the art form of it is just amazing, and I'm so in love that I was able to finish this. Did that make any sense? I'm sure you got it. So number 21 is tag someone. I'm not really sure how tagging works. I don't know if you just say their name and hope that they watch the video and then just put their like link in the description. So I'm tagging the really only person that I know right now on BookTube, and that is Books with Ike. I know he's primarily a BookTube channel. He just like talks about the books that he's read, but we've talked a lot on Goodreads about how he has a lot of book ideas, a lot of story ideas. So maybe if he's interested, he might want to kind of talk about that, because he's got a ton of stories and they're so cool. Like he's so many different ideas. Like how I pretty much have so many stories in my head, he's like actually written a lot of them down, and they have so many characters. So Isaac, if you're interested, definitely go for it. It's a fun time. It's a lot of questions, but yeah, have fun. Awesome. Well, thanks for watching, guys. This was really cool to kind of talk about my writing experience. Reading, I feel like we all do, but writing it's something a lot deeper. It's something that's really personal. So it was kind of cool to kind of talk about this and avoid my recent promise of doing a completely different video. But hey, there may be plot inconsistencies with my channel, but I promise when my book comes out, there will be no plot inconsistencies. At least, I hope so. But yes, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.